Human-to-human connection is a thing of the past. On today's episode, we're going to talk about customer and carrier relationships and how to get out of that transactional rut that you're currently in. Client and carrier relationships are the backbone of our industry. With the day-to-day becoming more transactional, with more technology and more technological advances, how do we keep that human connection between the two parties? How do we continue to develop that over time?
Whether people know it or not, they still crave that human-to-human interaction, the relationship, the genuine conversations. Yes, you're exactly right. Technology and automation, it's coming. Robots, AI, it's coming.
Yeah.
But people still thrive and desire that connection, that human connection.
Yep.
So regardless of AI and regardless of what place technology has in our industry and in every industry in general, there's still going to be a large space for that relationship.
Yep.
And if I were to be very transparent, when we're talking about logistics and what we do, I don't know if I should even say this, but I don't even care about logistics. It's what I do.
Yeah.
What I absolutely love is the relationships.
Sure.
I started my career in logistics, and that's what I started to learn, and it's what I became good at. And yes, I do enjoy it, but I'm not extremely passionate about it. The passion comes through the relationship side of things.
Yeah.
Without those relationships, we're not in business.
Yeah.
And whether they start transactional, ultimately we want to move those to the relationship side of things, because if they're not there, then you're very replaceable.
Yeah.
Whether it's a carrier side, client side, it doesn't really matter. You're replaceable.
To me, that's the funnest part about the job, is the relationship side of it, whether that's customer or carrier side, talking about what the customer needs and solving a problem for them and then delivering and executing on that problem is, to me, that's one of the greatest satisfactions in our business. Also with the carrier side, that we're able to give them shipments and help them out and treat them with a level of respect. I think that is huge for us. And, as far as our backbone, man, that's who we have to be.
Yeah, and if you think of how many similar companies are out in our industry.
Yeah.
Brokers.
25,000, yeah.
25,000 plus.
Yeah.
Might be 24,000 after all the shutdowns. God bless them. But let's say 25,000 brokerages in the U.S., all saying the same things, all promising the same things. How do you convince a shipper why they should be using you compared to the 25,000 other companies that are calling them?
Yeah.
That's one conversation that you can have in terms of the sales side. But on the service side and the relationship side, that's where you build a long-term partnership.
Right. Agreed.
And it starts, yes, with transactions. You convince them, give me an opportunity. Here's what I'm promising you. Here's how I'm going to execute. Here's what we can do long-term for you. And that relationship grows. And we'd love to share some stories and hear your thoughts on how have relationships, whether it's client or carrier, how have relationships helped Veritas grow year over year since we were established?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it, with some of our biggest clients and most the clients that we call LTV, so long-term value, and those folks that have been with us for the longest time, we have the best relationships with. And to me, there's no coincidence, right? We have the best relationships with those people that we've been doing business with them the longest, and we move the most amount of shipments with the people that we have the best relationships with. And what does that mean? Does that mean that, we are going to their kids' weddings, or does that mean we're going to their kids' birthdays? Probably not. But it's actually caring and investing our time in the lives of those people. So, and I think it also spins on the carrier side too. So customer side, carrier side, how do we invest our time and get to know these people who are, working alongside us each and every day?
Yeah, and you mentioned the relationships with clients versus carriers. We kind of view them as the same deal. We approach them the same way. We treat them the same. And what we've always been about, and what our culture is about, is just people, investing in people. It doesn't matter where their place is on the totem pole, so to speak, but we treat every single person the same, with the same amount of respect. So when we talk about relationships and genuinely caring about the people aspect, some things and stories come to mind. We had a carrier last year. We had a carrier that their house burned down, and so we created a GoFundMe for them, and we had another driver whose son passed away, where we sent flowers to the wedding. And hell, we just had a carrier this past week who's an ex-NFL football player who passed away. Yep. And our rep, because that is such a strong piece of our culture, our rep is like truly upset and wanted to do something for his family, which we will absolutely do, right? Because it's the relationships, and that's how you separate yourself from everyone else.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, man. Is understanding, people, I think short-sighted people, they look at, how much money can I make this week or next month? And it's not about that, right? Like to me, if we, for all of our listeners that are out there, I think if we can give you any advice from our experience, and hell, we've been doing this a long time, invest in the relationship. The money will come later. I promise you. Like, we've seen it time and time and time again. And if it doesn't, well, that customer's shitty and you probably don't need to be doing business with them anyway. But if the customer values what you bring to the table, that's going to pay dividends down the road. And it's not about the short-term game. It's about the long-term success. And how do we grow that? And how do we get more and more clients that are like that align with our vision and values? Same thing with our carriers, right? How do we get our carriers to align with our vision and values? And it's hard. It's not an easy task, especially if you're a smaller brokerage. I mean, we're 20, 22, 23 people deep. And, we constantly have to work on that, especially from the client perspective, also with the carrier side, each and every week.
On the client side, the relationship is extremely important. That's top priority. But in terms of service and consistency and executing on the client's needs, when push comes to shove, and let's say you have a claim or a truck flips over, or you have a tough week and maybe 3 late shipments occur on the same day. I'm assuming
it might have happened a couple times.
Too many to count. But you get put on the shelf because of poor performance, let's say 1 week out of the year. Your head's on the chopping block, but you've been so strong the previous 51 weeks that they're going to go to bat for you. They're going to put you right back in the field because you outperform, you care more, you outservice, you out-execute all the other competition. In one particular story I want to share is, this snack food company that we partnered with, when we partnered with them the last few years. They started small. We've been able to grow with them, which has been incredible to watch. But they were acquired by a large company, a well-known brand. This company that acquired our client wanted to cut all carriers. They wanted to do things their way, which completely understand. Those things happen in our industry.
Yeah, all the time. Too often to name.
Yeah, and so when situations like that happen, you are at the point where you are getting cut out. And what you think is your livelihood and your well-being and your book of business. Like,
revenue,
this is my top client.
Revenue coming in.
You're either looking for another job, or you're putting the headset back on and you're banging out some calls because you're thinking you're losing this client. When the relationship is in place and you are so connected to that client and those people that are working at that organization, they are having conversations internally stating, and this happens because it happened to us. You may cut everyone, but you're not cutting Veritas Logistics. Without that relationship, we're sitting on the bench and we're going back to work because we just lost our biggest client. So the relationship is extremely important. We have grown more with that client in the past year since that acquisition because of our relationship and our ability to execute and consistently bring that same high level of service, which is now their standard. And what that same standard has opened up more doors at the same company, and we continue to do that over and over. The point is, without those relationships, you're not getting those opportunities. You're not opening up those other doors, and you're not succeeding to the point where you need to be.
Yeah. When we look at customer relationships, and we're looking at it today where we see a ton of automation, right? So it's Kroger delivery, where you don't have to talk to anybody, you don't have to, meet anybody. They just set it on your doorstep. You order it from an app, they set it on your doorstep. It's easy. Uber, DoorDash, or Uber Eats, DoorDash, like you order food from a restaurant, you don't have to have any type of human interaction. With our industry, these client relationships and these carrier relationships, they are what's going to keep you in business for the long run. When I quit, right, like during that time, I thought I was going to get a million job opportunities. I'm a high performing salesperson. I've led some teams, and I was just going to get, job after job offer after job offer, 100K plus, 100K plus, 150 plus. Like that did not happen.